Hello everyone, and welcome to Channel Business Podcast with Hanne. Channel Business Podcast is all about sharing ideas, insights, and valuable tips from leaders around the world who have been rising through the struggles to where they are now.
The fact that we believe that the brotherhood of mankind transcends the sovereignty of nations is instilled in our mindset as enterprising young leaders. This is totally normal. And, at the end of the day, it's not how you achieve the results, which is important, it's achieving the results.
Exactly.
And once you've got a fixed target, is to be driven towards it. But if you go to A and B in a straight line, or if you zigzag across, or you go in a curve across, as long as you reach the B and at the same time, that's the main desired outcome we need to do. And leaving the latitude to do it in a way that makes everybody comfortable is how I define diversity and inclusion.
I love that.
Methods.
The podcast episodes will teach you about different things, what you can take in your daily life as a leader to take things forward from one step to another. We will talk about all facets of life. What are the essential steps for you to take the business forward? I'm your Channel Business Podcast host, Hanne Nuutinen, a global business influencer, taking you to this growth ride of Channel Business episodes. With all my heart, I want to warmly welcome you to the growth ride of the Channel Business Podcast episode today, kindly with smiles. All right, and today's guest, we have Kevin Hin from Monaco. Kevin Hin is a highly driven British citizen based in Monaco since 1989. He has a strong track record in international brand and business development for companies who want to enhance their image abroad in various different fields. He has experiences including owning and running a hotel in Nice, setting up a successful blog around the French Riviera, being a member of the Palace Press Service team preparing the 2011 royal wedding in Monaco, and developing an APM Monaco Trentley jewelry brand around Europe and the Middle East. So he's been all around the world. He's an active and committed member of the Junior Champion International, and now serving as the Secretary General in the organization. Kevin has said that fostering connections between all people for a more integrated and interconnected world is something that he really is passionate about to do. So I want to warmly welcome you, Kevin, to the show of today to talk about diversity and inclusion. Welcome.
Thank you, Hannah. It's a pleasure to be here on this podcast.
I'm so happy to have you. Our path has actually crossed sometimes in different parts of the Europe through JCI, with Junior Champion International. And I've been so thrilled to get to know you a little bit also personally. But today, you are serving the JCI, Junior Champion International, as a Secretary General. And JCI has the headquarters in US, where it all came from and it all started over there. So if we start briefly about the JCI, to tell the audience what it is all about and where are you occupying your time today?
Yes, thank you. And again, it's a pleasure to be here and to concretize on the exchanges. And the fact that we met in different parts of Europe, in Tampere, Finland and elsewhere over the last 6 years is testimony to what JCI can actually bring members. It's all about connecting highly driven leaders with values from all around the world to be able to network and to do great things together to make the world a better place. And this is essentially the essence of why JCI was created in 1915 in St. Louis, Missouri, by our founder Henry Kissinger Jr. It was in the middle of the First World War to help really foster a spirit of diversity, tolerance, and universal global peace and understanding amongst young people around the world through economic growth and societal growth. And this is what JCI is still doing today. Our focus is boosting this economic and societal growth, which we define as positive change, through great values, and which will lead by having enlightened leaders and compassionate leaders who are developed by our organization. We intend to have a better world, universal peace, but also great education and a more encouraging climate for the future.
Oh, there's a lot to say and lot to do in those areas.
Oh, yes.
But I suppose this is one of the reasons why JCI is still kicking and alive, so to say, that it has been over centuries now in this area, decades and decades, and it's just growing. What is it that you are committed to and inspired to create in life through JCI? What's your personal idea behind
My personal goal, what I personally enjoy most at JCI is meeting members from around the world. It can be at official meetings, but also in a bar chat or something like that, late after hours, and engaging with them, understanding what drives them, and hoping that I can deliver in the short conversation or long conversation something that will help inspire them for the future. And if I do that and create an impression on them, then my job is fulfilled and completed. And the main reason I enjoy doing that is because it's what JCI brought to me in the past when I joined as a member nearly 20 years ago.
Oh yeah, we have a long history.
Yes, exactly. I'm just giving back and paying it forward, essentially.
Oh wow, that is amazing, and it is definitely something, as far as I know yourself as a person and now serving to JCI as Secretary General, you really are a man of your words, and that's what you do. You do inspire people in every different kind of level that's possible, and you give the tips and tools and also the empowerment over there. So it really is amazing. What's your passion and strength to do all this? Besides what you said already.
Yeah, what I like doing is just listening to people and identifying it, and identifying how we can support and how I can personally support them through my experience, not just at JCI, but in business and having a global view of things as well, because my background and my education and my and what I grew up learning within my values as well. So this is what I try to support with. So it's a combination, like everybody has a special set of skills which is developed over time through their education, through their culture and their experiences, and we can each develop our unique selling points. So mine are no more special than anybody else's, but I try to have to be able to play up to my strengths and help support people in that way, by listening, by understanding, and by applying my memories and my experience to their special cases, and then helping them out and laser focusing on how I can support them and how I can help inspire them as well to grow as leaders.
Oh wow, it's also very big words, but something that I think the leaders in general should do, whether they are leading a volunteer organization or leading a team in corporate life, or just leading a family or leading yourself. It's something that what I see the world today and what JCI is and what it has to, what it's been to me as well over the years, really to find the understanding of other people, why they do things and how they do things, and getting behind the beyond question actually, and then getting things together, building the momentum and creating the possibilities for all of us in different ways, whether it's education or work or just business or whatever that is. So being this global leader in JCI, which is a volunteer-based organization, how it has developed yourself so far?
I've had several different types of careers at JCI over
Yeah.
time. When I joined, so I joined first at the local level in Monaco, and the first stage I would say was the time between in the first 7 years when I went up through the ranks of JCI Monaco and became a national president there. So I was in charge of the national organization, of which we have 105 around the world now. So a very small national organization, but with lots of influence in a small principality.
Yeah.
And over that time, that was a huge booster for my leadership skills and getting out of my shell. When I joined JCI in 2003, I was afraid to speak in front of 10 people and introduce myself.
And now you've done it many, many times into thousands of audiences.
Yes, it's just about iteration and repetition and getting out of your comfort zone the first time or 2 or 3 times and realizing that there's no big deal to it in the end, and getting past one's personal inhibitions. So JCI helped me in the first step go to that level. The second step was becoming an international volunteer member and taking up leadership positions at an international level, organizing an event for 3,000 people, and also acting as the head of ending at the age of 40 as the head of JCI in Europe and representing the whole European continent on the global stage as executive vice president. This helped me to really understand how volunteering could mix into one's professional life and help you go full circle. And I did it with a mindset of making our members feel special. And this is what drives me, even now in my third stage at JCI, where I'm actually one of the lucky few in JCI history who is actually employed by JCI to drive a global strategy and implement the global strategy by running the world headquarters team, even online through Zoom. But it's still
nowadays,
it still works though. And I'm applying the same principles that I had as a volunteer. Learning by doing and making the members feel special whilst using the business skills, which I learned through JCI, and the soft skills, and also through my career as well, and applying both of these, my professional knowledge and my JCI knowledge, to making the organization future-proof in the future and to really developing the foremost global network of enterprising young leaders, which is what we're aiming to do at JCI moving forward.
Oh gosh. So what I hear is that like you said, you mix the two worlds, your personal life and personal development, and then also the business life. And they just were really well put together and helping each others to go forward over there. Like
exactly, yes, it's going full circle. People consider volunteering as either an escape from a boring professional life or as doing something completely different.
That's right.
What's important, to be effective in both, you need to mix the volunteering, the skill set from volunteering, which you develop, with the skill set from your professional life, and make them merge and not just see professional life as a drag, because that's what makes people unhappy.
It does, and we should.
And go on like a zombie and then be happy as soon as it's 4:30 or 5:30 and you leave the office and you suddenly become alive again. That's not how life should work, because life's too short.
I agree. Yeah, I do agree. And to me, life is supposed to be fun, like you said, and you should mix up all the things the way that is suitable for you as a leader, as a person, as a family member, whatever. And we all wear these different hats throughout the day, throughout the week, months, years. And what I also hear is that you have been able to go beyond your limitations, beyond your imagination, that what you can do as a person. And JCI has this saying, correct me if I remember it wrong, but there's this saying that I think it was borrowed from J.F. Kennedy, that don't ask what the world can do for you, but ask what you can do for the country and for the world.
Exactly. Yes.
So this really applies what you've been doing and what you are showing to others, that, you know, put the different lives together and create one solid life, that everything, because everything is impacted and influencing one another. So that is fascinating, and that's good. And I think that's one of the things that if we think about leadership and the business and what's essential over there, is that you can mix those different worlds and the family life and whatever else there is together in a good balanced way that it's good for you.
Yes, exactly. As long as everything is optimized and you have the experience to understand what each facet of life can bring you and meld them together. It didn't come overnight. It took me 14 or 15 years to get it. So but when I got it, I was actually in Finland when it actually all came together.
Really?
In 2018. So I was in Helsinki then, and I was doing a training and I was preparing my slides, and I thought, actually, yeah, this makes sense. And it all came together in my mind. So so thank you to Finland for inspiring that notion. It's when I realized that it came, but how things worked, and I had gone full circle.
Yeah, so then it hit home to you, so to say.
Yes, absolutely.
And what I've seen and experienced also is that things take time. There's a process behind. Some people learn and understand certain things quicker than the other ones, and it's all because and based from our experiences and the way we see the world and how the mind is going and the mindset is built. And you can train all those, like you said. You've learned this over the years and you developed yourself, your skills, and now you're here where you are today.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, it's all a question of experience and learning, and everybody is different. So
of course, and we all have different paths, different purposes in life.
Yes, exactly.
But the world needs all of us, and that takes us actually to the more deeper on today's topic, the diversity and inclusion. And when you are in your role today as Secretary General in JCI, you're doing that in a global level, in a volunteer-based organization. How is this diversity and inclusion shown to you in the daily work, in the daily activities?
Oh, there are two facets of it. JCI is a global organization, as you said. We've got 150,000 enterprising young leaders in 105 countries and 4 key geographical areas around the world.
That's a huge amount.
Yeah, by nature, JCI is diverse, just by the fact that it being a global organization representing a global population with men and women in equal measure, with leaders from all around the world, with different cultures and mindsets, but who are all centered around the same values. We've got a great line in our set of values, which we call the JCI Creed, which is that the brotherhood of mankind transcends the sovereignty of nations. And this is exactly what we were talking about. And Earth's greatest treasure lies in human personality. These are two very strong values which we share around the world. And I feel that every day when I'm working with members in different parts, like a few days ago, I was talking with local presidents from Africa and the Middle East, which is already a very diverse area.
Many different ways, lots of different people.
Yes, and so there's no homogeneity or unity. Everybody is totally different, just speaking between the linguistic differences, between French speaking and English speaking and Arabic speaking, between Africa itself and the Middle East, between North Africa and Central or South Africa, etc. It's the same all around the world. In my daily life, I also have the same experience, and I won't call it a challenge because a challenge is negative. I call it an experience because it's always interesting and positive and learning. It's working with my global team. I have 26 staff members and colleagues right now who are based in 10 different locations around the world. So our headquarters is in St. Louis, Missouri, but we've got 8 people there. I'm based in Monaco. We've got team members, 8 team members in Paraguay and South America. We've got members in Cameroon, Nigeria, Romania, Germany, and Hong Kong as well.
So you kind of cover all the continents here at the
do.
same time.
We do, because that's what we need. We need a permanent staff which is representative of our global membership. And I'm happy to say, and this is not something which is done, we don't have any quotas or anything like this, but we have perfect gender balance between men and women as well in our team. And it just happened because we choose people on merit, and it happens that this is exactly how things balanced out. And I'm very proud of that, because we don't look at where people come from or anything like that. I evaluate my team based on their attitude and their values.
Wow.
More than anything else, and their work ethic, not about where they're from or
what's the background.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how it should be in life.
I totally agree. I totally agree, because the where we come from and what our background is, it doesn't matter really. It only, how I see the world, what matters is that where are you going with your experiences and with your background? How are you going to implement it for the better for every one of us?
Exactly.
So that is amazing. And I think what you just said, that having a global team and leading that every day, and in today's world where the technology is helping us to be more united with different people all around the world, is just fascinating. And it brings us, everyone, much easier together, and being able to understand what behind and what unites, and actually how same we are, how similar kind of people we are. It doesn't matter of the location or the age or the race or whatever that is.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And what I see and also hear from you, and what I know from JCI, but being an active member there over, well, nearly 20 years myself as well, since 2005, the cooperation and co-creation is very unique, and it is totally different in a corporate world than it's in the volunteer-based organization. Because as you mentioned, people have the similar kind of values, and they are thriving towards the same kind of goal. How does JCI make this different differentiation and all this possible, uniting people around the world together and utilizing the diversity and inclusion, impacting in today's society?
Yeah.
How do you do that? I know that there's projects and all that.
Yeah, our goal, as I said, our goal is to develop enterprising young leaders where diversity and inclusion is innate in our DNA and that of our members. And that's what we need. Those are the kind of members we need. We need members who are tolerant and accepting of others. That's the main key for us.
Open-minded.
Yes, open-minded, and who have an international mindset. And that already makes things extremely easy.
And very interesting.
Yes. What we've seen in the last 2 years, especially with the fact that people have not been able to travel, is two things. First of all, when people do meet, we don't take it for granted anymore, especially
exactly. The world has changed.
Yeah, maybe before some people took the plane like it was a bus, and it was, and now we no longer take it for granted. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that the technology that we have now has made it much easier to bridge the gap. Everybody talks about Zoom fatigue and need for digital detox, which I agree with, but without this, of course, everything is good in moderate quantities. And I think that the fact that luckily, it's quite lucky that this pandemic took place now rather than 20 or 25 years ago.
I agree.
Maybe 25 years ago it wouldn't have spread so quickly.
No, the infrastructure wasn't there then. But
no, like when there was SARS in 2003, it didn't spread that much.
Oh, no, yeah.
However, and it didn't last as long. However, for me, having this new technology and this possibility to communicate has been a great advantage and a great opportunity to bridge the gap amongst the areas as well. Before, it would have been impossible People would have waited 1 or 2 months or 6 months to engage with others because we'd think, oh, we'll meet at a conference, or we'll meet in Quebec at the World Congress, or in Switzerland at a European conference, or in Mauritius at the
That's
African
right.
Youth Conference.
That is right.
People would have waited, and there wouldn't have been as much communication. Now what can we do? We can hop on a Zoom call. I get invited to make interventions in South America, or in Nigeria, or in Mongolia, and to mentor members in JCI Mongolia, for example, which is a great opportunity, not just for the members who ask me to come, because I deliver information in a humble manner, but in my own modest manner, but it's also
for you,
for myself, because I get to not just understand my members or my customers, whatever. I get to meet cool people with different cultures, which in countries I've never even visited before. So which I wouldn't visit in normal times, but I've got to meet, to engage with members from Mali or Niger who have become good friends, even though we haven't met in person. And,
but it doesn't matter nowadays, because like you said, then you can be during this one day, you can be all around the world and engage and get more knowledge faster and be much more effective also. Push things forward, which benefits all of us.
Yes, and this is how JCI has been thriving over the last few years, even though we haven't had any human direct contact. Thanks to this technology, this has created even more exchanges. And we even decided to leverage this, like 2 months after the pandemic began. We invested in a new IT, digital communication platform and social network called the JCI Virtual Community, where members can exchange all around the world using a mobile app, where people can have access to this global network. So even if you join in a small town in rural Switzerland, you can immediately, when you become a JCI member, have access to friends or business partners or customers or suppliers, mentors or investors from around the world, thanks to this. And this is what is fostered by how we transform the challenges presented by the crisis into opportunities, and how JCI has been able to thrive and carry on despite the challenges faced.
Exactly, and that is just one thing that JCI has done and what is behind the organization. So as you said earlier, that putting these different kind of lives or different hats that we all wear together through this organization, you can develop yourself different ways, but then you also can implement these people and these practices to your daily life, what you do for business. So that is just amazing, and how the technology and everything is helping there. But what I found very, very unique through this organization, I'm a person who's been very active in different organizations and associations all my life. But what is truly special in JCI is that once you meet the persons, and even though that you don't know them, it's very low barrier to get in touch with people that you don't know from your country or from your city or town, but all around the world. You can just say, hi, I'm a JCI member, and I have this idea or this question or this problem or this challenge or obstacle, whatever, or just this joy, and I would like to get to know you more, and can you help me some ways? And it has helped me personally tremendously. On different ways to get the customers for business, but then also to have great friends, like you said. And then when you are able to meet them face to face, you have already built this amazing relationship behind, and it's much easier to go and talk and create the future possibilities.
Yes,
in that
exactly.
sense. Yeah. So what do you think what are the essentials in JCI and its leaders to address tomorrow's challenges, the initiatives and the actions?
the most important thing from a JCI perspective, but from my personal perspective, the most important thing is for leaders who we are developing to be all-rounders. So what we do, we offer development opportunities through projects, trainings, events, and programs, which are aligned with 4 areas of development opportunities, which are business and entrepreneurship, community impact, individual development, and international cooperation. So we're creating a multifaceted leadership approach. So we're not looking at creating only business networking champions or getting members who only want to do charity or community work. We're looking at creating the JCI Enterprising Young Leader who masters all 4 areas of opportunity in equal measure. So somebody who is at the same time a global entrepreneur, a global networker, a global communicator, and a global change maker. And this person, thanks to the JCI leadership journey, which we're bringing them on over the course of their JCI career. Let's say somebody joins like I did when they were 24 and has a 16-year leadership journey, to help empower them, but go full circle in these 4 areas of opportunity, and then become a leader in government or business or civil society and a vector of economic growth and societal growth, thanks to the values we're instilling, those values of tolerance, the humanistic values, which we embody in our creed, and really develop this mindset. So to answer your question, the main recommendation we have at JCI is to have a holistic leadership approach and to really not specialize in one thing, but the leader of tomorrow is a leader who knows how to communicate, who knows how to network, who is a change maker and has an enterprising mindset. Not necessarily a business owner, but somebody who has, you can be an entrepreneur if you're an employee, or if you're a lawyer, or if you're a teacher. You can always have this enterprising, go-getting, open-minded mindset, which means that you can be successful. And this is what the world of tomorrow needs, this kind of enterprising young leader.
That's very true, because today's world is very different than it was 20 years ago or 50 years ago, and there are a lot different kind of opportunities, but also challenges that we need to face, and what we are facing. And in order to be a better and create a society and your own life to be more joyful, more happier, you kind of have to find the way to overcome these challenges, problems, whatever they are. But if you don't have the mindset, like you said, then you are just there and you're not happy. You are not making the world a better place for yourself, nor the people around you. Exactly. JCI encourages and empowers people to go on this journey, whether you are a teacher or cleaner lady or an entrepreneur or a director in a big corporation. All of them are put into same kind of level, same stage, and then supporting each other's through these projects and what you have.
Yes, exactly. There's an interesting point in and everybody is equal to a certain degree at JCI. For example, in languages where you've got different formalities and ways of encouraging, like for example, a German or French or Italian, like Latin languages, what they do in France or in Monaco, when in a French level, everybody uses the least formal way of addressing each other. So you can be a teacher or a CEO, you use the tu in French. So that way of addressing people. So everybody is on the same basis. And that's a great way of leveling things, creating a level playing field for everybody in the organization, regardless of hierarchy or origins or gender. This is how we level things on the same playing field.
And it does create like a safe environment for people to learn and be open-minded and express themselves to the highest level that they can be, and give the path. And that is something that I really love, because back in the days, some decades ago, if you didn't have a certain hierarchy, you went in a certain family or something, or you didn't have the money, it was impossible for you to go on this path, even though that you have the talents. But now in today's world, it's amazing that despite your background, you can still go and achieve and make a huge difference in the world. Like
Yes.
we've seen the leaders today in different organizations. You may not have a college degree, but you may be a very successful leader making a difference for the sake of world being a better place for all of us.
Yes, exactly. These leaders learn by doing. They have this innate enterprising mindset. And despite not having a college degree or maybe being dyslexic, as was the case sometimes, they have different qualities which enable them to succeed: interpersonal skills, strategic skills. And this leads us to question, maybe, is the college degree as it is structured today the best way to develop future leaders? It's not just about having to learn things by heart and regurgitate them, but instead developing practical problem solving skills. And this is where the education industry of the future will be thriving, thanks to new technology as well. It's by developing how to solve complex problems, and we try to do it at JCI as well through learning by doing issues, where we try to solve long-term economic and societal problems through our projects too.
Now that you mentioned the projects, I cannot, go past this question. Many people who don't know what JCI is and the projects that you do, can you mention a couple of different kind of projects that JCI does worldwide and has developed throughout the years that is building the better community locally and globally and helping us as peoples, to go forward and understand these challenges?
Yeah, of course, with pleasure. What we have done over the last 2 years especially, I'll give you a very concrete example. Since 2020, with the pandemic, the whole world has been in economic crisis. So in July 2020, we took the decision not to go down the route which other NGOs do, collecting money and giving handouts to support things, because this isn't what a leadership organization does. A leadership organization takes individuals who lead from the front, and that's our competitive advantage. There are lots of other organizations like service clubs or international charities who do this much better than we do and who have more expertise. We focused on what we do best, solving complex problems. And this is why we created what's called the JCI Rise initiative. JCI Rise means rebuild, invest, sustain, and evolve. And this is projects which we encourage each of our 5,000 local organizations around the world to undertake to help rebuild economies and societies
in a local level.
Yes, at a local level. So we focus on three major. Each RISE project must be aligned with one of three pillars. The first is sustaining and rebuilding economies and helping rebuild small businesses who are pillars of communities and who don't benefit from government bailouts. One example, concretely, is the tourism industry. And how to rebuild the tourism industry in a more sustainable manner for the future, and avoiding the excesses which we witnessed, especially between 2010 and 2020, as tourism exploded, that damaged local economies, and it wasn't sustainable. So this is what we're contributing to, working with partners like the International Chamber of Commerce or the World Economic Forum Global Shapers, and encouraging local projects that help rebuild tourism and attract more people. The second pillar is workforce motivation. So taking young people who have lost their jobs and helping them regain their jobs through upskilling and teaching them with two manners. The first is showing that it's okay, being employed is not a fatality, and that you can also become an entrepreneur. So we have creative young entrepreneur contests at national and global level to help build the global unicorns of the future based on JCI's values, which I mentioned earlier. And it's also having projects at a local level that help stimulate professional reconversion. For example, let's take the young people who've lost their jobs in the tourism industry. They may not be able, especially in Asia Pacific, where international tourism may not kick off again for another year or two. Giving them other alternatives and other ideas. So this comes through education, teaching STEM education to young girls in Japan and robotics, showing them other options, but also professional reconversion in coding, programming, financial technology, health technology, education technology, and artificial intelligence, as I was talking about earlier, and general digital marketing. And the third pillar, which we have, so we talked about sustaining and rebuilding economies, business recovery, workforce motivation. The third is more of a societal issue. It's preserving mental health amongst young people.
Which is very, very important in every stage.
Workplace, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, especially in the workplace for young people who may take it for granted and who burn out. And we need... Our main goal is to approach the mental health aspect from the economic side. Again, teaching employers and educating employers about the fact, for example, that if you don't care of your employees' mental health and well-being, then you're going to end up with an employee who takes six months off on sick leave.
Yeah, and then you don't have a person to do that job.
Exactly. Yeah. So that will be a big problem. So by taking care of the mental health of employees or staff members, you'll be able to avoid long-term economic consequences. So we're approaching it from that aspect, not from the helpline aspect, which others can do better, but more from the employer-employee relation aspect.
The well-being of a person in many different facets.
Yes. So with these three pillars, we're encouraging projects that are tailor-made to each local economy and each local society and each local organization, which can really have sustainable impact on the ground by uniting business, government, and civil society through JCI to collaborate to enable this economic and societal growth, which we're striving for. So, and developing members' leadership skills in the process. So again, this JCI Rise initiative is something we're using to pivot our organization and to brand it as an organization that runs projects which are anchored in economic reality.
In the local level,
Yes, exactly. We don't do top-down global. We give a very, very wide umbrella, which members can laser focus in and funnel down to local level based on this. So that's the main gist and the main focus of JCI projects now, but also in the future. We've got two pillars focusing on economic growth and one on societal growth, which is the balance which we must have at JCI as well for our enterprising young leaders.
Of course, and that is especially during the pandemic, like you said, people have lost the jobs, and that means financial difficulties. It means most likely mental healthcare issues and challenges for all of us, and then really the uncertainty of life. And without the skills of being positive, being open-minded, up-leveling your talents all the time in different ways, whether it's gardening or learning a new language or just understanding how people live in Australia versus Canada or something, or Africa. It all levels up, and once you have those talents and once you are taking the step forward as a person, you can help the others as well in the area. And I love that. And something comes to my mind. You mentioned Finland here earlier a couple of times, and what JCI members have done here in Finland, which still exists today, is a project called Päiväjohtajana, which means in English that a day as a leader. And this is something that it has developed over the years, but I think it goes back to 1980s that members at the time developed this idea that how you can connect the business world and the young people together, and they develop this idea that you, as a teenager, you go and learn for 2 weeks something in the company that interests you,
Yeah,
or
mentoring
organization.
and
Yeah, it's like a
mentoring and
mentoring.
empowerment. Yes.
Yes, and going down there, what does it mean to be an adult, and how you can make an impact. And
I love that idea. Yes, no, that's a great project. One of the reasons JCI Finland is so successful. At JCI Monaco, actually, there's a project which was launched 7 years ago called Entrepreneur Seeds, where we get young people to go to from schools over 2 days to learn about entrepreneurship, like
exactly.
15 to 16-year-olds. But in this case, it's not within a company. They work within a team to create a business. So it's a kind of 2-day hackathon, which is a tournament between schools. And they create their own mini business model with mentoring from JCI members, but also from government officials. And the winners have to present in front of a crowd of 200 people.
Wow, that's a scary place.
Everybody speaks, and it's so great to see that they prepare so well. And I'm thinking, wow, I wish I could do that at that age.
Oh yes, I wish I had. I wish I had those kind of things. And what I see now through my girl who's in elementary school is that the teachers over there are taking steps forward to integrate the adults world to the school kids who would be able to understand how the world functions today in different areas. And I think that is truly important, as you said earlier, that we have the connection between these future leaders so that they can build the understanding and the skill sets, what they need and what they are capable of doing.
Absolutely.
So as you are leading this global organization, and it's a volunteer based besides your headquarters, how do you see the differences in a regional level, or whether it's, Africa or US or Asia or something, how the leading is done there and how they are forming the teams, how they are getting partners and impacting in the local level? You mentioned something about this and what is very similar, but what are the differences there that you can see, what we could learn from each other's, if you could point out a couple of those things?
That's a really good question. As I said, before talking about differences, I want to talk about common points. Everybody has the same can-do attitude and mindsets to succeed. And of course, each area is very different because of the education, the culture, the respective hierarchy, the discipline. And even if you take an area like the America area, you've got a big difference between North and South. But even if you take what seems like to be a united area like Central or South America, you've got a big difference. There's a huge difference between Chile and Venezuela in their economies and culture, despite a common language. If you take El Salvador and Brazil, there's different language, different culture, populations, and attitudes to diversity and different ways. Even if you take the USA, of course, if you take the difference between California and
New York,
Oklahoma, there's a different California and Arkansas or New York. Each area has its own specificities. So the cultural differences don't come from just the country or just the area. I'm sure that in Finland, between the north and between Rovaniemi and Turku and Helsinki,
there's a big difference.
There are different cultural specificities as well, just like there are in the UK or in France. I'm lucky enough to come from a very global background myself. My ancestors were born in China, and then 150 years ago, they moved to Mauritius in the Indian Ocean to get a better life. And then my parents moved about 50 or 60 years ago to London, where I was born. And then when I was 10, I moved to Monaco. So for me, this diversity and inclusion is innate because I've also had the opportunity to travel quite a lot as well and observe these cultural differences and understand how to adapt to them with patience. So I always like having a core way of managing things and then distilling it in different manners and communicating in a different way. For example, in Asia Pacific, it's the way of managing is slightly is slightly different. It's very disciplined and structured. In Europe, there's more of a need for discussions and flow and getting traction, like in the Western world, in North America as well. In South America and Africa, there's respective hierarchy, but there's also the need to debate and exchange and get feedback. So this is a very, very general way of talking here. But this is an example, because you can't generalize anything, but this is the general example of different ways in which each area works. But at the end of the day, I remember when I was an executive vice president for Europe, me and my team, and it's still the case today with the Europe team, we spent lots of times in meetings preparing and exchanging and getting things done and aligned. And I was looking at the African and Middle East members, or the American members, were all laughing at us. Oh, look at the Europeans. They're all in their meetings again all day and all night while we're relaxing at the bar. And we're thinking, gosh, look at these slackers. They're not doing anything and all that. At the end of the day, the results were exactly the same.
But they just had the different style of doing the work.
Yes, they had a very different style of working and exchanging, but the work was done anyway. And the results were identical across all 4 areas. So there's no better or no worse. It's just the diversity in management and the importance to accept each other and each other's way of doing things, which is important. And the beauty in an organization like JCI is that this is the fact that we believe that the brotherhood of mankind transcends the sovereignty of nations. Is instilled in our mindset as enterprising young leaders. This is totally normal. And at the end of the day, it's not how you achieve the results which is important, it's achieving the results.
Exactly.
And once you've got a fixed target, is to be driven towards it. But if you go to A and B in a straight line, or if you zigzag across, or you go in a curve across, as long as you reach the B and at the same time, that's the main desired outcome we need to do. And leaving the latitude to do it in a way that makes everybody comfortable is how I define diversity and inclusion.
I love that.
Methods.
I love that, because that brings down the fundamental thing that we all are different. We are very unique, and you can teach me something, you can help me understand something, but you are still a different person than I am. And I do my things in a certain way, which can be developed at the end of the day. But there needs to be the flexibility and the safe environment, like you said, in order for all of us to go forward and reach the goal. It doesn't matter how you get to the top, as long as you get to the top.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There must be no prejudice or no restrictions from that level, but just helping to achieve a goals in the best suited way for your team and adapting things necessarily. And also taking the best practices. What I've understood is when I've got African team members, great example actually, last December, JCI in America had a local president's conference for the first time ever. And 2 months later, the SOPs, standard operating procedures, they adapted them to the specificities of Africa and Middle East. And last weekend, they did a cracking event with 250 people online to impact local leaders on the ground. And now we're trying to implement this in Europe and in Asia Pacific as well, because we see that it works. And where did that come from? It came from the America area originally. And again, it's going full circle. So this is exactly how we want to establish best practices with an open mind. If something great comes from Africa and Middle East, we can scale it to Europe or Asia Pacific.
With the little area differences. Yeah.
Exactly. Funneling it down to area specificities and culture each time in order to adapt to the members and make them feel as special as we can. And this is the main goal.
Oh, I love that. And you just answered my question, what is essential in JCI leading people forward? And that's what it is. You can be yourself and develop yourself with the different talents and skills always forward, and then be the best version of yourself in order to serve the society, local and global level.
Yes, exactly. This is
Oh,
really the main notion of it. But to be able to do that, you need to be self-confident and know what you believe in and proud of your
yes,
values and proud of your organization too, and understand what the organization means. And once
yeah.
these values are anchored, this is the time to be able to spread them.
Exactly. So it comes down to knowing yourself first and then taking it
And
from
liking
there.
yourself as well. And
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Very,
And being
very
proud of
important.
yourself as well, and and assuming who you are, and not trying
Yes,
to be anybody else.
exactly. But becoming the who you want to be and evolve in that sense.
Exactly, yeah. Best possible version of yourself, as you said earlier.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This conversation has been very, very lovely. And I think there has been a lot of gems that people can find out. At least I've found a lot of good tips and tools how to go forward. And the whole idea behind this talks is to find out what is essential in different facets of life, because as you said, Kevin, there's everything connected to each other and influencing each other's, and that's when we understand that it takes us to a different perspective and different level to live this life.
Mhm.
Okay, one last question is then, what is your most valuable tip that you would give to any person about diversity and inclusion? What they should point out and remember from this conversation?
Yeah, remember that everybody is equal deep down. Everybody has their own values, and regardless of how they are, or regardless of their origins or race or gender, everybody needs to be judged on merit, and everybody must be valued, because Earth's greatest treasure lies in human personality. Now, if one person doesn't fit in well in one status, it doesn't mean they lack in one situation. It doesn't mean that they lack value. If you're not happy in one job and you're not being properly valued, go to somewhere else. There will be somewhere where your skills will be valued and you will be made to feel special. The world is big enough for that. So
Oh, yes.
don't lose any sleep over it. Just find your way and be proud of your route. And for future leaders, it's important for everybody to be accepting of others and to realize that as well. Everybody is a pearl in their own way. Some of them need to be polished more than others, but everybody has their qualities, their values, and it's important to understand this in order to be able to create positive change, economic and societal growth in the future, and to develop better leaders. So these are the two major things I would say, the two tips I would give. Be yourself for leaders and discover your route, and for future leaders and for existing leaders, inspire others and be accepting and tolerant of everybody, because everybody deserves time and tolerance.
Oh, exactly. Oh my God, I love that. That's a really, really good tip. And it's something that we all should remember. And it also goes down to the thing that when we are different, and as we all are different, that's where the change comes from. If we
Yes.
are all equal and with the same minds, how can we create this world to be a better place? It's
Yes, exactly.
possible.
As I always say at JCI, the most effective organizations come from a diverse ones, where you've got older members and younger members, where you've got employees and employers, where you've got entrepreneurs and students,
Different
where you've
minds.
got men and women and different origins. And from there comes the static electricity that adds value. It's where the emulsion creates the mayonnaise. It's really where we can really create the exponential growth and the true emotions, and the true results. And this is what makes JCI strong, and any organization becomes strong through diversity. So I totally agree with that point.
Oh my gosh, amazing. You really are inspiring person and inspiring leader. I love this conversation. We could go on forever, but but for our listeners, I want to thank you, Kevin Hin, for participating. But where can people find you if they want to reach out to you, if they want to find more information about JCI, Junior Chamber International?
Yeah, sure. We have our website, of course, juniorchamber.international, and which is currently the best place to look for it and to reach me, but also going through the normal channels on LinkedIn or through by email and on the JCI page. That's the best way to reach me, and I'm always happy to engage with members, especially on my travels, to meet face to face. And I hope to meet as many JCI members and future JCI members who may be watching this call, or future JCI partners, to discuss how we can carry on this discussion. This is only the beginning of this talk and of this topic. So this is really how we want to push things forward. So yes, I'm always available to exchange and hopefully to make everybody feel special.
Oh, you do that. You do that, truly. Thank you, Kevin, so much for being part of this Business Channel podcast and channeling things forward. I truly appreciate you and your time.
And I wish you all the best for the upcoming ones as well, and carry on the great work, Hannah.
Thank you, Kevin. And for our listeners, thank you so much being part of this. And we hear you till the next time.